A piece of advice to Sri Rahul Gandhi, which he will receive from no congressman. Welcome, good morning, namaste, suprabhat. It's customary for those who find themselves in leadership roles to be surrounded by advisors. And in a vast majority of cases, these very advisors prove to be the undoing of the leaders they so arduously advise. And one test of the wisdom of a leader is his discernment in regard to these advisors and the ability to shake himself free from them, at least to keep a safe distance from them. Advisors are ineradicable pestilences, to put it mildly, and unless and until Rahul Gandhi maintains his space to think, to feel, to understand, and to decide for himself, he will commit the same mistake that has proved us, series of mistakes or types of mistakes that have proved the undoing of the Congress party. Let me explain what I mean. As of today, I sense a tremendous upsurge of expectations about and goodwill towards Rahul Gandhi from one end to the other. The most dramatic evidence of this is the high rating that Rahul Gandhi has attained in a state like Uttar Pradesh. For the life of me, I still can't believe that the people of Uttar Pradesh prefer Rahul Gandhi to be the Prime Minister over and above Sri Narendra Modi as their Prime Minister. If Narendra Modi has 32% popular rating, Rahul Gandhi has 36% popular rating in the state of Uttar Pradesh, a state that is represented by Sri Narendra Modi. Now, this is a very significant fact, and it's because it is significant that the mainstream media has buried it underground. Now, not only that, in the small little YouTube channel, so to speak, it's not a channel really, that I run, I'm amazed at the positive, enthusiastic, ebullient, effervescent responses to anything that I say about Rahul Gandhi from people in all walks of life, from every state and union territory of this country. And the sentiments expressed are so moving, so sincere, and so strong. I don't think that Rahul Gandhi owes anything in regard to anything of this to the Congress party. If anything, the Congress party is the unfortunate baggage that this young man has to carry. I remember saying this to him in a long conversation I had with him way back in 2011. I'm sure he will still recall that. It was a conversation that lasted nearly 40 minutes in his office. That was in the wake of the massive Commonwealth Games corruptions, and I told him that his future was at stake, and that the best thing he could do for himself was to distance himself from this unfortunate past and the regrettable present of the Congress party, and to project himself as the sign of a new hope for the people of India. I said it then because I knew he was capable of it. But at that time, I have to say that I found him a little diffident. Never mind. That was also the reason why I, in some of my statements, said that I was not particularly persuaded of his suitability to the moral jungle that the practice of politics had become in this country. But I see now an entirely different Rahul Gandhi. I have been cynical of radical transformations of the basic nature of a human being, But when I look at this young man and the way he has been transformed, or the way he has transformed himself, that would be a far more accurate way of putting it, I have to change my conviction and I say it's possible for individuals to be so dramatically, completely, and wholesomely transformed. Therefore, I want to remind him and refresh him regarding the idea I mooted with him so long ago, and I did so in my capacity as the principal of St. Stephen's College and not just as a private person. And I thought I had the moral authority to tell him so. And I have to say that he did recognize my moral authority in saying whatever I said to him, and I was very blunt and forthright with him on that occasion. And I also told him that that was the last time I would meet him in person, and I stuck to that statement. And I've never met him thereafter. And I don't think I'll ever meet him again. I don't have to, he doesn't need to. But I still have to share my thoughts with him and with all of you, if not with him, because I believe that thoughts pass from one person to another. Eventually, it will catch up with everyone who matters. Now, let me enter the pith of my argument. The most significant thing for me about the political scenario in this country is, I'm sure this has struck you as well, the Congress and the BJP, pardon me, are two sides of the same coin. I repeat, the Congress and the BJP are two sides of the same coin. Only that one face of this coin is starker, sharper, and more belligerent than the other. What's the proof? Well, the proofs are many. If in 1975 the Congress party under the leadership of Srimati Indira Gandhi declared internal emergency in India, under Modi's regime there is undeclared emergency in India. Two sides of the same coin. Furthermore, whenever any malpractice, any corruption, any failure in governance on the part of BJP is pointed out in national prime news hour discussions, what is the staple standard reaction of the spokesperson or persons of the BJP? Well, you did the same thing when you were in governance. How dare you question us? Who are you to talk about it? You did the same thing. Absolutely, absolutely. I don't have to cite any further examples to tell you that these two are the two sides of the same coin. But, and that's where my hope lies, Rahul Gandhi stands out as refreshingly different from the run-of-the-mill Congress leaders. The stuff that the stereotypical Congress leadership has been made of and still is made of. When a Congress leader, including Kharge, stands near him, I sense a dissonance, an incompatibility, a disharmony. To tell you the truth, I don't know to what extent he is aware of this. Maybe he is aware of it because he has shown, especially in the recent past, he did show it even in the early days, but because of the sentimental attachment his mother Sonia Gandhi had to old Congress types, he could not be fully effective in that respect. Rahul Gandhi had been from the very beginning of his political career keen to disburden the Congress party of the old baggage and give to his party a new fillip, a new spirit, a new surge, if you like. Now in this, he has not fully succeeded, but he is well on the way to succeeding because the many choices that have been made in the recent past all point in that direction. And I am sure that in the days ahead, in the immediate future, he will consolidate this process and that the useless old baggages will be all on their way out. and that congressmen, young in their ideological blood, enthusiastic in their political soul, and sincere in their ethical spirit, will be brought to the fore, and the old world Congress feel will be dispelled. For example, when I look at a candidate like Kanhaiya Kumar, there was a lecturer in one of the Delhi University colleges with that name, Kanhaiya Lal. So I get a little confused sometimes, so please pardon me. Kanhaiya Kumar. I feel very joyful that this change is in the offing. And fortunately for Rahul Gandhi, now there are many options. For example, in the state of Kerala, from where I say these words, there are two young leaders in Sri Rahul Gandhi's party. I deliberately don't call it the Congress party. Sri Rahul Gandhi's party, there are two young leaders who can be, shall I say, homogeneous, though homogeneity is not a word I like, who can be harmonious with Sri Rahul Gandhi in the pursuit of his vision for India. They are Sri Rahul Mankutam, the very dynamic youth leader, and the successful Congress candidate from Vadagara, Shafi Parambil. These two are young leaders with enormous potential. And I would love to see people like them come to power, come to the responsibility of guiding the Congress party in Kerala, rather than these most uninspiring and sometimes disgusting old types, congressmen who still hang on like leeches to the offices to which they cannot do any justice. And the real tragedy, the real liability, the bankruptcy of the Congress party is this old time hangover, and the sooner this is got rid of, the better. Now, if you look at the Bharat Jodo Yatra, let me ask you, how many of these old time leaders were with him? Or before that? The last 5 years in particular, when Sri Rahul Gandhi pitted himself against the might of Modi and company, did he have the support of even 2 or 3 the old time Congress leaders? Did they dare to support him in public? He is their leader and he is vital to their political survival, and yet none of them came out to the open and identified himself or themselves with him. That is fairly indicative. Whereas all along Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra, Nyaya Yatra, young congressmen, young leaders were with him because they saw in him something new and they responded to it with great enthusiasm. And it is not just the impact of Rahul Gandhi traversing the length and breadth of India that inspired the people of India, but also this whiff of freshness that's been created by young leaders of promise coming around, being with Rahul Gandhi and creating a positive vibe about this journey from beginning to the end. So when I assess Sri Rahul Gandhi's two significant historic yatras, I appreciate not only his initiative and his endurance, the strength of his character and his soul force, as Gandhi would say, which certainly was the major factor, but also the positive feelings, the vibrancy that young people brought into the whole experience, and the like of which India had never seen before, at least since the time of Gandhi. And this is something strikingly new, and therefore it's small wonder that people in all walks of life, cutting across party divides, in fact, all castes, religion, gender divides, they responded overwhelmingly, enthusiastically, I would say passionately, to this new experience. My sincere advice to Rahul Gandhi would be to consolidate that process and not to take too long over it. please get rid of this dead wood, this driftwood. And they have their baggages, and in fact the reason why they could not take a stand, a principled stand in public, is that all of them have their skeletons in the cupboard, and therefore it's very easy for the present dispensation to intimidate them into silence. They're not the types who can lend you any support. In fact, they'd only burden you, clog your journey and your progress, and in fact lend more ammunition to your detractors, as indeed is happening. To me, the great advantage that Rahul Gandhi has is not that he was born in the Nehru Gandhi Parivar. That's the least of his advantages, to tell you the truth. It's an advantage in the sense that, yes, he has been politically schooled well. Secondly, he has the benefit of commendable family culture. These things cannot be devalued or underrated in their value. How is, the aristocracy of the spirit more reprehensible than boorishness in culture? I don't understand this at all. But from my point of view, the greatest advantage that Rahul Gandhi has as a leader for the future, and leader of now, already the leader, the preeminent leader of the opposition parties, is that he is free from the baggage, the back-breaking baggage that other senior Congress leaders are saddled with. And therefore, he would do himself and the country a world of good by publicly and mercilessly, I would say brutally, cutting himself off from that baggage of the past and announce to the country a new beginning, a new beginning. When I was a young boy in Kerala, way back in the late 90s, that was a time when the Marxist movement was at its peak. Already the first Marxist government anywhere in the world was elected to power. That's Kerala's uniqueness, the first country or state in the world, a democratically elected Marxist government, which was soon brought down, particularly under the initiative of the Roman Catholic Church. That's a different history. It doesn't concern us at the moment. So, at that time, I remember very vividly, the volunteers, the Marxist Party is a very strong cadre-based party. The party cadres, the party workers used to organize local meetings, and they used to be very well organized and emotive, expressions. And the Marxist cadres in those ways particularly imaginative in creating slogans, party slogans. There were hundreds of slogans, but the slogan that fascinated me most, maybe because of my sort of light in those days, early Christian background, nothing to talk about really, was this slogan that they used to shout in Malayalam, Pudhiya Agasham, Pudhiya Bhumi, which means a new heaven and a new earth. The Marxist Party promised to the people of Kerala a new heaven and a new earth. Of course, they didn't tell anyone at that time, and neither did I know, that this was a slogan borrowed from the last book of the Bible, the book of Revelation, where John, the evangelist, who has this vision of the new heaven and a new earth. That was precisely what Karl Marx promised, and that was what was echoed in the soil of Kerala way back in the late 50s, that I still remember. I recommend something similar to Rahul Gandhi. What India needs today, India is jaded morally, politically, culturally, economically. Jaded is the word. There is so much of cynicism, there is so much of apathy, indifference, lacklusterness, if you like. This is a time to announce a new beginning. After all, that's what he signals, he signifies. He is a whiff of fresh air, a whiff of freshness on the landscape of Indian politics. He is indeed a new light. And whenever I see him, there's a touch of newness about it. Something quite unlike anybody else in the political stereotypes, in the garden of political stereotypes. He is unique, and he should never be apologetic about it. He should never be ashamed of it. Rather, that is a strength. That is a sign, the convincing sign for me is that he is the one to lead India into the future. No doubt at all in my mind. As of now, Sri Narendra Modi might look invincible, though that air of invincibility has taken a beating through the 2024 elections, but still the party and its leaders, including Sri Narendra Modi, behave as though nothing has changed. But that's putting up a brave face, that's all. They all know that reality has changed, that we are living actually in a period of transition. Now, if you look at the various slots or epochs or periods of transition in history, you will find that there will be one prominent leader who represents the past, and there will be another leader who looms now, or begins to loom large, representing the future. Now, the leader of the old world will have his own charisma, his own power, his own style, and his own coterie, his own strategies. And the leader of the new will be completely different to him. He will have a different set of skills and strengths. His approach will be different. And the leader of the old system, which is in a state of transition, will look at the emerging leader through eyes of utter contempt, ridicule. So what has happened in India is nothing new. It is the necessary ingredient of every period of transition. But the reason why I am convinced that Shri Rahul Gandhi is the leader for the future is this, that the period, a prolonged period of being subjected to unbearable ridicule, lasting nearly 15 years, at least 10 years, was the period of trial by fire to test the mettle of this young man. He could have fled from the scene, in which case he would not have been the man of the moment or this signpost to the future, to the extent that he stood his ground without wincing. He stood his ground without running away from it. He stood his ground without apologizing for it. He stood his ground without changing himself in order to suit the likes and dislikes of somebody else, or he stayed steadfast and true by the core of his personality. I am convinced that he is the signpost to the future. And no matter what others do to deride him, discredit him, degrade him, in fact harm him, will not succeed, because this is a phenomenon of history. It is nothing individual or individualistic. It is nothing personal. It is the imperative of history. It has to happen. Believe me, it will happen. But this is the time for Rahul Gandhi to come fully into realizing himself that this is the role that he is cut out for, and therefore, if he is really succeed in this, as indeed he must for the sake of India, he has to disengage himself, disconnect himself, if you like, divorce himself from that unfortunate past, the baggage of the Congress party. And I would not be unhappy to advise him to express this clearly and emphatically in public. Look, I had nothing to do with what happened under the auspices of the Congress party in the past. My hands are clean, and I stand before you with a clean conscience, a clean heart, a clean hand, but a firm commitment, unwavering commitment, a fiery commitment to your future, to your well-being, to ensure that your children and their children live in freedom and dignity. Let's do it. It's doable. Come, let's walk together. That's the new Bharat Jodo Yatra he needs to undertake. Well, I have a lot more to say, but I want to prolong this in order to because I don't want to test your patience. But please think about these things. It's amazing. We are living through a period of great intellectual stimulation, and I think it's a privilege to live in periods such as this. Every day, faces you with something fresh, something challenging, something unprecedented. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I'm reminded of a couple of lines that the English poet William Wordsworth wrote in a long poem called The Excursion, recalling the great excitement of the French Revolution 1789, where he says, "Blessed was in those days to have been alive, but to be young was very heaven." I'm not young, but I find it very heaven. I find this period to be very heaven. Let me quote those memorable words again. It's good to commit some of these things to memory. No? Blessed was in those days to have been alive, but to be young was very heaven. Was very heaven. Lovely? Great, that's where it is. So, good luck to you, Rahul Gandhi, but more than that, good wishes to the people of India. You deserve better. You will receive better. That's my prayer for you. That's my passionate conviction. Indeed, that's my religion, if you like. It has to happen. It will happen. Let it happen.